Hamzah Sheeraz versus Liam Williams, 12 rounds in the middleweight division. Let's get into it. Let's start with Hamzah Sheeraz. 18 wins, no losses, 14 wins by way of knockout. A lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, have been telling me about Sheeraz, especially for those who are over in the UK. All my UK people over there, you guys have been telling me about him. I haven't seen him fight live yet. And so when I'm going back and I'm watching the tape on some of his previous fights, I can understand why many people consider him to be the top prospect in the UK right now. 6'3", with a big reach, power in his hands, strong, consistent jab, good combination, good puncher, consistent with the pressure and the aggression, good technique. Hands are a lot quicker than he looks. He's an underrated counter puncher to me as well, too. He's got good feet as well. He's got a lot of positive things working in his favor, especially from an offensive standpoint. Sheeraz's first test was when he fought Bradley Skeet, a fight that he would go on to win, but it wasn't without its challenges and some controversial hits. So in their fight, Skeet seemed to be in control from the jump, right? Using his jab, moving around the ring, mixing up his variation of attacks, different mixes of placement in his punches. I think Skeet's experience and movement made it tough for Sheeraz early, right? Whenever Sheeraz would push the pace forward on Skeet a little bit, let his hands go and try to cut off the ring, Skeet would always seem to have an answer for what Sheeraz was trying to do, and he would neutralize it with quick counters and combinations. I had only seen Skeet fought a handful of times, but in that fight, he looked pretty good, right? Fighting off the back foot very nicely early, making Sheeraz pay when he did miss and overcommitted. In the 8th round, it finally looked like Sheeraz was saying, you know what, man? I'm going to commit to this attack, and I'm going to push the pace. I'm going to pick up the pace. I'm going to pick up the tempo, and I'm going to take these risks, and I'm going to let my hands go a little bit more, right? And you could see the change in the aggression and the change in the tempo was starting to get to Skeet a little bit, slowing him up a little bit. When you're moving constantly laterally and trying to evade certain punches, man, you have to be in immaculate shape to do that for 12 rounds. Prime example, Sonny Edwards has been doing that prior to fighting Bam exceptionally well, because I don't think Skeet is a big puncher by no means. He's a good balance of both. And so it felt like towards that 8th round, when Sheeraz was starting to push the pace, Skeet was trying to slow down a little bit. And so the timing was right for Sheeraz to turn it up. And he caught Skeet with an overhand right that made him take a knee. As he was on his knee, that's when Sheeraz just kept punching. Boom, boom. 2 shots when he was defenseless and he dropped to his knee. To me, the continuation of those 2 punches just looked like it was more of a frustration move, because he was having a harder time having his way in the fight. And when he finally got to him, it was just like, man, finally. But he let the emotion and the continuation of that emotion get to him a little bit, and it almost cost him the fight. He had points deducted, but after that, he had gotten to Skeet, and although momentum was really falling into his favor, and he was able to close out the show, and he was able to get the win. Sheeraz, though, was in a bit of trouble, but he found the confidence to be able to finish the hurt that he did put on Skeet, and he saw that things were starting to work in his favor, and he was able to capitalize on it. And he has the power to be able to turn the fight around in any given second. After his victory against Skeet, he would go on to punch up Jess Smith, Francisco Torres, and Dmitry Mustivnov, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and he stopped all of them within 5 rounds. So there's no doubt that Sheeraz has got a bunch of upside and a lot of potential, and he's already shown that. And Liam Williams is a wily veteran with experience, good power, good chin. So he's going to be looking to try to slow down the younger fighter. Should be a good fight, man. We're going to learn a lot more about Sheeraz in this fight against Liam Williams. Let's talk about his opponent, Liam Williams. 25 wins, 4 losses, 20 wins by way of knockout. One of the advantages that Williams does have is the experience, right? He's only been stopped once in those 4 losses, and that was to Liam Smith in 2017. right? That fight was stopped in the 9th round, but then he would get a rematch right after, and that fight went the full distance, even though he did lose the fight. He fought Demetrius Andrade 2021, where he found himself wobbled in the first round and then eventually dropped in the second round with a straight hand down the middle from Demetrius Andrade. When his back was against the wall in that fight, man, it looked like he was not going to last the full rounds, the full fight. But to his credit, I mean, he was able to withstand that fight because he took a lot of punishment in that fight, man. He's a little flat-footed, doesn't really move his head off the line too much. He's not the quickest fighter out there as well, too. And Demetrius Andrade, man, he was unloading on. With Liam's aggressive style, he uses volume to his advantage, right? And it works, and sometimes it doesn't, right? Because when he overcommits, it's tough for him not to get hit because he just stands right there in front of you. He's not a hard guy to find. He took a lot of heavy punches against Boo Boo Andrade. And I think the plan in that fight just looked like, I'm going to come forward. I'm just going to try to outwork you. But, man, he got clipped with some big punches, man, heavy uppercuts, like consistent uppercuts. And it just looked like from the consistency that he was getting hit, I was very surprised that he was able to withstand some of those shots. So is Sheeraz a bigger puncher than Andrade? I mean, you know, you could make that case. I'm not sure. Maybe, maybe not, right? So it's something to keep in mind, man. But that uppercut is going to be there. That uppercut that Andrade had consistency with, that even Eubanks had a great job doing, is going to be there for Sheeraz to be able to land. But can he capitalize on it when the opening is there with the power that he does possess? Now, Williams did have some good rounds against Andrade later in the fight. Looked like some of the steam and the pop that Andrade had early as the fight went on was starting to wear off a little bit because some of those shots, some of those uppercuts, Williams just came and walked through it, right? So, you know, it was still a clear, comfortable win for Andrade. But, man, it was a resilient effort from Liam Williams to not just stop in that fight, but to keep coming forward and to keep putting himself in the best position to win the fight. So after that, he fought Chris Eubank Jr., and that was personally, I think, one of Eubank's best complete performances that we have seen. I think if memory serves me correctly, Williams was dropped 3 or 4 times in that fight. Williams just seemed like, man, he had a bunch of uncharacteristic mistakes in that fight that he was continuing to repeat. He looked sloppy in that fight. He looked very emotional in that fight. Not sure what was going on between them. I know they don't really like each other like that, but also the speed of Eubank was a big problem, and the accuracy and the quick hands of Eubank gave him a long night's worth of problems as well too. So that was a fight where I also felt like Eubank could have closed out the show if he really wanted to, right? Because he had Williams hurt. He had him right where he wanted him. He had him emotional. He had him frustrated, and he could have taken advantage of that. But, you know, that wasn't the best showing of Liam Williams, man. We've seen a better version of that. But on that night, it just was not his night. Wasn't a good performance. He's fought once already this year against Florian Cardoz, an opponent with a very modest record, and he was able to close out the show in the first round, right? His last 2 opponents, I mean, he closed out the show within 2 rounds, but those guys did not have the greatest resume per se. And to me, those fights were just stay busy fights, tune-up fights, get back in the win column type of deal fights. So it's going to be an interesting fight to see how both men make adjustments and to see what version of both men come and step into this ring. So who wins? I'll tell you what, man, Sheeraz's team, obviously, when you're looking at who you want to face next, you see guys and you see fighters and you're saying, you know what? I see some things that I can expose. I see some things that can work in my favor here. And so when they are looking at Liam Williams, Sheeraz's team probably saw that. But at the same time, Williams is not he's not chopped liver, man. And we've seen, based on what we've seen from Skeet, experienced fighters, man, they have a way of using that experience and making it tough on a younger fighter. Williams is a better fighter than Skeet, and he's younger, and I think he's a bigger puncher as well too. And even with the 4 losses that Williams has, he's still a dangerous opponent for a younger fighter. right? But Williams is going to be there to get hit. I'm not confident in Williams' defense consistently to be thinking that he can take consistent blows from a heavy puncher like Sheeraz, but also Williams has a good solid chin as well too. So it's going to be interesting, man. You know, I think Sheeraz's chin is going to be tested in this fight. His emotions are going to be tested in this fight just to see how he handles the pressure. And so it's going to be interesting to see, man. So to see how it unfolds. Right now, I'm leaning towards Sheeraz because I think the height and reach will help him in this fight, especially if he uses his jab early. And again, Williams' defense, I'm not sold that he's made any real defensive adjustments in the last few fights. A younger fighter has a better cardiovascular output, in my opinion. It's not all like that, but I feel like in this case, the volume-wise is going to work on Sheeraz's favor. You know, I think he will be able to hit Williams cleanly and consistently, even if he does not stop him. But at the same time, Williams could make this a very tough and physical and grueling fight and use his experience and make it a lot rougher and tougher than Sheeraz would like it to be. But I think Sheeraz gets it done by decision. I think he maybe even drops Williams, but, you know, Williams has proved that, man, he's got the will to endure and to outlast the fight. If Sheeraz does win this fight by stoppage, that would be very impressive to me. Williams can win this fight, absolutely. Like, I'm not counting him out by no means. Like, if I had to say from a percentage standpoint, man, like, I think it's a 50-50 fight. I think it's a close fight. For me, it's Sheeraz 51%, Williams 49%. I think it's a close fight, but I think the younger, hungrier, more aggressive man is going to come out and win this fight. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a couple ways that you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel. It'll be greatly, greatly appreciated. Shout out to everybody that continues to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Man, I appreciate each of you. Shout out to all the members holding down the membership section. I appreciate each of you as well. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video, this time do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.